Back in 1970, this seemingly simple brand was born, but it rapidly, and I mean rapidly, morphed into an unstoppable force, basically creating the most dangerous corporate illusion in history. We're talking, of course, about the fictional yet deeply symbolic Kronos Empire. From the outside, sure, it looks like a story of exquisite craftsmanship. But behind all that glitz and the fancy luxury showrooms, there's a dark truth that nobody really talks about. Just listen to this phrase for a second. They didn't sell a product, they sold power. That right there perfectly captures the dark reality at the very heart of this empire. Think about it. When you buy a regular, everyday item, you're just paying for its utility, right? But Kronos realized super early on that utility has a price ceiling. Power, on the other hand, the human desire for power is completely limitless. Behind the heavy, ticking gold, this brand doesn't trade in mere timepieces or accessories, absolutely not. They trade in pure, unadulterated power and status. And really understanding that distinction is the key to unlocking exactly how they conquered the globe. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, Origins of a Shadow Empire, the Mastermind and the Betrayal. So this whole thing kicks off with a secret mastermind who had this massive, grand vision. We're talking about a guy with zero money, absolutely no connections, who was completely dismissed by the establishment. But then, in 1970, a deadly betrayal shifted his fate overnight. It actually provided the exact spark and the ruthless edge he needed to start building his empire. Fast forward to the 1980s. While rival companies were basically failing left and right, he pulled off an absolute marketing masterstroke. A single, genius move that turned what was effectively a dying workshop into an unstoppable monopoly. And it just kept growing. By the 1990s, the empire had expanded so deeply that they were allegedly entangled in Cold War espionage. Through relentless conquest, they essentially mapped out a sprawling global shadow empire. Which brings us to Section 2, Engineering the Psychological Trap, the Weapon of Status. Now, you might be wondering, how did they systematically outpace every single rival out there? Well, Kronos made a very deliberate, calculated choice. Step 1. Alienate the average consumer and target exclusively the richest elites. Step 2, engineer artificial scarcity. And step 3, weaponize status. Because honestly, owning the watch was never about telling time. Actually, scratch that. It was never about the watch at all. It was a psychological trap designed to fuel an obsession. When you make a product that only the elite can afford, and then you make it so ridiculously rare that even the elite have to beg for it, you aren't selling jewelry anymore. You're selling a golden ticket into an exclusive club. You are weaponizing human desire and creating a frenzy that competitors simply cannot replicate. And you know what the most absolutely crucial number is in all of this? 0. That represents the actual product shortage at Kronos factories. 0. There is absolutely no real lack of materials. There is no lack of manufacturing capability. What Kronos executed is a total masterclass in psychology, deliberately engineered to drive human greed to its absolute limit. They purposefully withhold inventory. It's artificial scarcity in its purest, most potent form. They manipulate the market so entirely that the customer literally feels privileged just to be allowed to hand over their money. It's wild. All right, moving deeper into the shadows here, we arrive at Section 3, Scandals and the Secret Foundation, Exposing the Underworld. So for over half a century, way beyond the luxury showrooms and the tuxedoed billionaires, classified dossiers suggest Kronos operated completely outside normal scrutiny. They were allegedly playing both sides during wartime to literally shift the balance of power across Europe. But then came the catastrophe, the 2008 shocking leak. An insider, a whistleblower operating from the shadows, finally stepped forward and exposed what was really happening behind closed doors. And let me tell you, this was a moment of absolute panic for the empire. The leak threatened to pull down the entire operation overnight. It exposed a structure that was simply never meant to see the light of day. To survive this massive hit, Kronos relied on its ultimate defense, a hidden legal foundation, ghost owners, and an untouchable corporate board. The leak revealed that Kronos was protected by this massive billion-dollar legal puzzle that nobody could crack. To this very day, no single person truly owns the company. It's hidden behind a foundation and run by a quiet, shadowy board that answers to almost no one. They basically engineered a corporate structure that is literally untouchable, and that ensures that no matter what scandals bubble up to the surface, the core of the empire remains completely insulated. And that leads us perfectly into Section 4, the ultimate consumer mind game. Fact versus fiction. Following those leaks, the brand's engineered value became so bulletproof that it actually turned into a preferred currency for a shadowy underground network. We really have to separate the public illusion, the idea of ultimate luxury and painstaking craftsmanship, from the dark reality, which is engineered scarcity and a highly volatile black market value. People routinely spend their entire life savings chasing a piece of this dream, but the brutal truth is you're paying an absolute fortune for what is essentially just dressed up raw material. It's artificially inflated by the psychological illusion they've created and fueled by literal briefcases of cash being exchanged in the black market. And the sheer brilliance of Chronos is that they haven't stopped evolving, not even close. As modern tech monopolies and smartwatch giants tried to invade their territory, Chronos didn't just sit back. They declared a digital war. They fought back aggressively by weaponizing the digital age. They used algorithms, influencers, and digital psychology to basically hijack the market share right back from the invading tech giants. They adapted their whole psychological grip for the internet era. So it really proves that while their product might look like it belongs in the past, their warfare tactics, they are entirely cutting edge. Which finally brings us to our last lingering question. Will consumers ever actually wake up? Look, the next time you see a logo like Chronos flashing on a screen or sitting under a spotlight in a display case, remember what we've uncovered together in this explainer. You aren't just looking at quality. You are staring directly at one of the most powerful mind games ever played on consumer culture. The empire remains unmasked. But remember, the illusion only holds its power if you continue to buy into it. So, stay focused, stay curious, and always, always question the illusions put in front of you.